Assalamualaikum everyone and welcome to our online lesson. Today we're going to revise our grammar, more specifically our present tense. Now, what is present tense? It is the type of tense that you use to talk about things that are happening now, in the present, not in the past, not in the future, but now, in the present. There are There are four types of present tense. One is simple present tense, then present continuous tense, present perfect tense, present perfect continuous tense. And we're going to start with the first one, which is simple present tense. Our learning objectives for today. So by the end of this lesson, you should be able to identify when and how to use simple present tense, and also write the correct verb forms for simple present tense, including the verb to be, to have, and to do. So you should be able to do these two things by the end of today's lesson. An example of simple present tense can be seen in the song Frozen. Do you know this song? Let It Go. Now, for example, the snow glows white on the mountain tonight, not a footprint to be seen, a kingdom of isolation, and it looks like I'm the queen. Now, glows and looks as well as am, these are verbs, okay? And what you're seeing here are examples of simple present tense. Now, we're going to understand why. Why does this one have S at the end, glows, and why this one has S as well at the end, okay? Why does it have the letter S? And we're going to understand that today, okay? Also as well as am. These are examples of simple present tense that we're going to revise today. First, let's learn, when do we use simple present tense? We use simple present tense to talk or write about actions that happen regularly, such as habits and routines. So these are the things that you do as your habit and as your routine. For example, what do you do every day? You brush your teeth every day. I brush my teeth every day. Or you go to school, okay? So here's an example. Indra goes to school every day except for Friday and Sunday. Now, the verb here is go, right? And what is the subject? The subject is Indra, okay? Since Indra is one person, the verb, what happens to the verb? There's es, okay? So Indra goes to school every day except Friday and Sunday. But if it's Indra and another person, then the verb will be go, okay, for this one. Now, when else do we use simple present tense? We use it to talk about a fact or a statement, okay? Something that is true. So, for example, Hardila likes Korean dramas, okay? So the verb here is like, and the subject is Hardila, okay? So, what do you notice here? When the subject is only one, okay, like Indra and also Hardila, what happens to the verb is there's es or s, okay, at the end of the verb. That's what we are going to revise after this. Now, when else do we use simple present tense? We use it for something that will happen in the near future. So not exactly now, but it's happening very, very soon, okay? Salahuddin flies off to KL this Saturday. Now, the same thing is happening here because the subject here is only one person. What happens to the verb is there is es, okay? S and S. Okay, all right? So this is what we're going to revise after this. Now, how do we use simple present tense? This is the rule that you have to remember, Okay, so if the subject is something that is singular, it's just one person or one thing. Usually it is he, she, it, right? This is the pronoun. So what you do to the verb is you add s or es, okay? So for example, he loves chicken. Nurizam loves chicken. She loves chicken. Shafiqah loves chicken. It loves chicken. Okay, the cat loves chicken. So if the subject is only one, you add s or es to the verb. But if the subject is plural, so meaning there's two or more people or thing, you don't add anything to the verb. But I and you, even though it's singular, it's always a special case, okay? So remember this. For you and I, we treat them as plural subjects, okay? So I, you, we, they, you all, you don't add s to the subject, to the verb, sorry. Okay, so I love chicken, you love chicken, we love chicken, they love chicken. You don't add s. Okay, so this is the golden rule that you have to remember. Now, let's revise our simple present tense. Okay, so over here, you see which one is the subject? She, right? Okay, so if it is she, just one person, what happens to the verb? You add s, okay? So it is arrives, okay? So let's look at the verb arrive for all of these sentences. Okay, now, what is the subject? They, okay? So what happens to the verb if the subject is they? You don't add s. So it's they arrive to school at 7 a.m. Now, what about I? You don't add s. So it's I arrived to school at 7 a.m. Now, what about this subject, Afroza? Only one person, right? So if it's singular, she, Afroza is a she, so you add s, okay? So it becomes arrives. Afroza arrives to school at 7 a.m. Now, what about this? The subject becomes two. So if there are two or more people or thing as the subject, you don't add s. So Afroza and Wafa arrive to school at 7 a.m. Okay, now this is a class, year 9H. Now the subject here is only one, right? Even though there are many students in one class, but since it refers to year 9H as a whole class, it becomes one. So if it's only one, you add s. Year 9H arrives to school at 7 a.m. But if the subject is students, then you don't add s, okay? But since this is one class, you add s. Now, yes, that's exactly what I said just now. So the students at year 9H, so do you add s or no to arrive? You don't, because the subject here becomes plural. So it is arrive, okay? So I hope that you remember all of this, okay? Remember this rule for simple present tense. Now we're going to move on. Okay, let's talk about the verb to be, okay? To be means it's something that is going to be, right? So for these subjects, the verb to be becomes am, okay? I am. And the contraction, meaning the short form, is I'm. The verb to be for you is are, and the contraction is your. For he, she, and it, the verb to be is, and these are the contractions, he's, she's, its. For you, we, and they, the verb to be is, are. Okay? And these are the contractions. Your, we're, there. Okay? Remember all of this. Am, is, are. So this is the verb to be, okay? And you can also call this auxiliary verbs. Now, let's practice our verb to be, which is basically am, is, are. I, a teacher. So if it's I, of course, it's am. Easy. You is, are, am. Are a teacher. We is, are, am. We are teachers. They are teachers. Amin. Amin is only one person, so it's Amin is a teacher. Amin and Kawi, there are two people, so are. Amin and Kawi are teachers. All right? Now, let's move on to another type of verb. The verb to have. So have is actually the original form of has and have, okay? Has, have. Now, if it's he, she, it, the verb is going to be has. If it's I, it's have. You, have. You, we, they, have, okay? So remember, if it's singular, he, she, it, it's always has, okay? But I and you are special cases. So, for example, I have a pen. We have a pen. He have or has a pen. Shasha has a pen. Yumi and Afik have a pen. Okay, easy. Now let's move on. For the verb to do, okay, this is the original word do. It becomes do or does. Now, when do we use do or does? Okay, for he, she, it, it's does. Okay, so it's the same rule as just now. When it's singular, you always add s or es. Okay, so if it's something that is positive verb, like it's something that they do, okay, so it's he, she, it does. But if they don't, so he, she, it does not. Okay, doesn't is the contraction, the short form. I do. I do not. You do. You do not. You, we, they do or do not. Okay. And the contraction is don't, and doesn't. Okay. So for the contraction, remember where you put the apostrophe. Now, let's practice. I do my makeup every day. So is it do or does? It's do. I do my makeup every day. We do our makeup every day. She does her makeup every day. Nasiba does her makeup every day. Nurul and Alia, they're two people. So is it do or does? Do their makeup every day. Now we have learned all the things that we have to remember about simple present tense. It's pretty simple and you just have to practice. So, have you achieved the learning objectives? Are you able to identify when and how to use simple present tense? And are you now able to write the correct verb forms for simple present tense, including the verb to be, to have, and to do? If you're able to do these things, now you can move on. Now, these are the tasks that you're going to do today. Log on to liveworksheets.com, enter your username and password, and find these two activities in your Liveworksheets workbook. Activity 1 and Activity 2 on simple present tense. If you have any questions, ask in the group chat And I'm sure that you're able to do this now that you have learned the rules. Okay? So all the best.